Mr. President, later this week, we're going to reach 1 year since President Trump was sworn into office as President of the United States. And from what I've seen and what I've heard, visiting with people at home all around the state of Wyoming, the first year has been a huge success. People are telling me and telling their friends and telling their neighbors that America is finally headed in the right direction again. People tell me that they feel optimistic because of the policies that Republicans have put in place over this past year. The polling company Gallup says it's not just happening in Wyoming, it's happening all across the country. They had a report the other day that said that Americans' confidence in our economy was positive in 2017, and they said this was the first positive annual average since they started tracking these numbers back in 2008. First time ever. Well, as soon as Donald Trump was elected president, economic confidence began to soar. It has stayed positive every single month since Election Day of 2016. Gallup has said that this is the exact opposite of what they'd seen for the previous 8 years. In another poll last week, Gallup said that people are also more optimistic about the job market. They found that Americans' confidence about finding a job, a quality job, was the highest it had been in 17 years since they've been asking that question as well. They said that there were a sharp increase, as they defined it, a sharp increase over the years before in 2016 when President Obama was in charge, a sharp increase in people's feelings about being able to find a quality job. People are confident. They're much more optimistic about the future. And you see the signs of it everywhere you turn. Stores had their biggest holiday sales since 2008. When people are feeling confident, well, they feel like it's okay to go shopping, that they feel that there's going to be the income to cover the things that they're interested in having for Christmas and the gifts they can give. They can relax. It's the kind of optimism that we're seeing now. And it's because they see that President Trump and Republicans in Congress are serious about improving America's economy. They see that we're serious about giving relief to Americans who have been getting buried under an avalanche of red tape. Now, the president has cut through massive amounts of regulations. Congress has rolled back 15 different major regulations from the Obama administration. Now, that's going to save Americans as much as $36 billion over time because of the regulatory burden that's been relieved. These are regulations that hammered Americans, wiped out American jobs. Now those regulations are gone. When people see that Washington is finally taking the right approach to regulation, it gives them confidence, makes them more optimistic about the future. Now, a lot of the regulations that Democrats wrote had to do with their war on American energy. Democrats shut down a lot of energy exploration and energy development in America. They shut down attempts to export American energy. They even wrote rules to put the United States at a competitive disadvantage when we try to develop energy resources overseas. Republicans have stopped Washington's war on American energy. We're opening up more areas to responsible energy production off our coasts and in part of Alaska. Our goal should be to make American energy as clean as we can, as fast as we can, without raising costs on American families. Now, Republicans have put policies in place to restore that balance to America's energy policy. Now people are talking about not just energy security, energy independence, America energy dominance. When people see that Washington is finally taking the right approach to energy, it gives them confidence. People see that Republicans are delivering on other promises as well, like giving American families serious tax relief. This tax law, Mr. President, that passed at the end of last year is giving back more than $1 trillion to Americans over time. It's letting people keep more of their hard-earned money. It's spurring economic growth. It's going to make it a lot simpler for a lot of families to fill out their taxes. When people see that Washington is finally taking the right approach to taxes, it gives them more confidence, more optimism. They're confident because they're already seeing the direct result in their paychecks. At least 166 companies have said that they're going to give raises, give out bonuses, invest more in their workers because of the tax law. More than 2,200,000 workers across this country are getting more money in their pockets as a result of these raises and bonuses. Now, some of the folks who are getting bonuses are people who work at Walmart. That's one of the biggest employers in my state, in Wyoming. People who work there are getting bonuses, they're getting higher wages, they're getting expanded maternity leave benefits, one advantage after another as a result of the tax law that was passed by a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and signed by President Trump. These workers are noticing the extra money. It's going to make a difference to them, to their families. It's not just a one-time bump to people. Economists say that this tax relief legislation is going to boost the economy for years to come. Now, there was a story on CNBC on Monday that quoted an official from one European bank. He said that President Trump has, quote, changed the perception of what's possible in Washington. Changed the perception of what's possible in Washington. Madam President, the American economy has roared back to life. We are finally having the economic recovery that we should have had 8 years ago. That's because we finally got the policies that allow our economy to grow like it should. Madam President, we had a big recession in this country. Democrats used that as an excuse to pile a bunch of regulations on the American people. Well, that had a lot to do with keeping the economy from recovering at the pace that it should have. You know, during the Obama administration, there was talk about the new normal. People said that maybe it was just the way things were going to be in America from now on. Slow, tepid economic growth, weak recovery, wages that didn't grow, people out of work for years at a time. That's what we saw in that administration. Well, now, Madam President, now we know that that was never normal. It was never acceptable. It was never the way things had to be. Things could be different, and the American people voted to make it different. They said it was time for a change in 2016. And Republicans are showing that the economy can grow faster once we get the right policies in place. America can be a greater place for all of us. We head into President Trump's second year with a much stronger economy than the day he took office. We have more Americans at work. We have businesses and families confident that the economy will be even better this year. I think that's the kind of thing that people mean when they tell me that they feel confident and optimistic in the direction of our country again. I see that confidence in Wyoming, we see it on Wall Street, and we see it all across the United States. Democrats might miss the Obama economy of higher taxes and more regulation. Republicans are fighting to continue the policies that are giving Americans confidence and optimism and hope. Republicans know that this is just the beginning.